ox and donkey gray. Sleep, sleep, Lord, upon the hay. Thousand seraphim, thousand cherubim, watching o'er this wonder of the God of love. Between the arms of sweet Maria, sleep, sleep, fruit of living tree. Thousand seraphim, thousand cherubim, watching o'er this wonder of the God of love. Bread of life, our living well. Sleep, 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 Emmanuel. Thousand seraphim, thousand cherubim, watching o'er this wonder of the God of love. Watching o'er this wonder of the God of love. All right, so there is a very pretty carol. This one's a little bit more famous as far as the melody. There's lots of translations of this one. I've kept things very simple. We're just using plain vanilla versions of D minor and C. This is another one of those situations where we have a folk tune in a modal, a mode, and it's modal rather than being in a major or minor key. It sounds minor, but it's actually in the Aeolian mode. And so in regular D minor, you'd have melodic D minor, you'd have a C sharp, right, instead of a C, and that would allow for you to do an A7 chord, right, as it's between the ox and donkey gray. But honestly, there's just no point to that in this. It just sounds a lot better with the C. Between the ox and donkey gray, right? And you're not actually singing. You're not actually singing there a member of the C chord. You're singing that A there on top of it, which makes it a C6 chord. Donkey gray, which is our open strings on the ukulele, which is an interesting thing. So you could substitute in that C6 if you wanted to. Between the ox and donkey gray, sleep, sleep, Lord, upon the hay. Thousand seraphim, thousand cherubim, watching o'er this wonder of the God of love. I probably wouldn't use the C6 in every case there, probably just on the places where you're actually singing an A. But it works. It can work. So for the first verse, we only did thumb strums, and then we did this 12-3 business. I've talked about this before, but you're basically just turning these two fingers into kind of a claw and putting one on one string and one on another string and just plucking them together. And then alternating with your thumb going in the opposite direction. So 12-3, 12-3, 12-3, 12-3. Now, I showed something similar to this next strum pattern. We skipped the third verse and we went to the fourth verse. Somehow in this third verse, I'm just not crazy about the between the prittly shepherd's feet. I'd probably just change it to pretty. But that's the reason I left that verse out for demonstration purposes. But on the bread of life, our living well verse, we're doing this touch, roll, thumb, up, down, down. Touch, roll, thumb, up, down, down. Bread of life, our living well. Sleep, 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 Emmanuel. If you didn't want to do that, if that's just way too much work to be of use to you, I think it's cool, but there's so many other things you could do. You know, you could just do a regular universal strum, down, down, up, down. Bread of life, our living well. Sleep, 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 Emmanuel. Right? Okay, so you could just do that. I just think it's a little fun to throw in these flamenco things, you know, touch, roll, thumb, up, down, down, touch, roll, thumb, up, down, down. Bread of life, our living well. I think that's a lot of fun. So once again, on something like that that's a little bit complicated, you're going to want to take it very slow and do it over many, many, many times until it just becomes automatic. TV time, it works, okay? Put on a half-an-hour documentary and dedicate that half hour to one technique, right? And of course, if you feel any discomfort or pain, and either you're doing something wrong or you need to take a break. So none of that. Because I actually have suffered an injury once from doing something because I just insisted on doing these Chattanooga strums. One season, and it took me about 8 months to recover, and I still feel like I have to be careful about this one joint on my finger. So don't injure yourself. I've done it, and it's dumb. Don't do it. So anyway, I hope you enjoy the carol and the techniques that I've shown with it. All I can say now is Merry Christmas, and I hope you enjoy your caroling this year.